This is the History of Portugal podcast, an Eat to My Own Beat podcast. New episodes every Friday. Check us out on our Facebook page, the History of Portugal podcast, on YouTube, as well as my website, www.eattomyownbeat.com.
Imagine this. A French noble arrives in a small county on the edge of Europe and, within one generation, his family creates an entirely new kingdom that still exists today. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of how the Portuguese House of Burgundy literally built Portugal from scratch, shaped its borders that remain unchanged for over 800 years, and created one of Europe's oldest nations.
And what's fascinating is that this wasn't just some random noble family. The House of Burgundy was actually a branch of the French Capetian dynasty, basically European royalty's royal family.
Wait, so Portugal was basically started by French aristocrats?
Exactly. It all began with Henry of Burgundy, who arrived in the Iberian Peninsula in the late 11th century. He was actually there to fight in the Reconquista, the Christian kingdom's campaign against Muslim rule.
So how did he end up founding a dynasty?
Well, he proved himself such a capable military leader that King Afonso VI of León rewarded him with both his illegitimate daughter Teresa's hand in marriage and the County of Portugal as a fief.
Ah, so it was kind of like a medieval job promotion?
Ha, you could say that. But the real story begins with their son, Afonso Henriques. Now, he's the one who really changed everything.
What did he do?
Well, first, he had to fight his own mother. After Henry died in 1112, Teresa was ruling Portugal, but she was getting pretty cozy with a Galician noble named Fernando Pérez de Traba.
Oh no, family drama.
Exactly. The Portuguese nobility weren't happy about this Galician influence, so they rallied around young Afonso. He ended up defeating his mother at the Battle of São Mamede in 1128.
That must have made for some awkward family reunions.
Actually, there weren't any. He exiled her to a monastery in León for the rest of her life.
Wow, harsh. But I guess that's medieval politics for you.
But here's where it gets really interesting. In 1139, Afonso won this massive victory at the Battle of Ourique, and afterward, he did something unprecedented. He declared himself King of Portugal.
Wait, could you just declare yourself king back then?
Not exactly. It took until 1179 for Pope Alexander III to officially recognize Portugal as an independent kingdom. That was crucial because in medieval Europe, papal recognition was basically like getting your nation's UN membership today.
You know what's fascinating about this dynasty? Each king seems to have had their own unique approach to nation building.
Oh, absolutely. Take Sancho I, for example. They called him the Populator King because he focused on settling and developing the conquered territories.
The Populator King? That's quite a nickname.
Then you had Afonso II, the lawgiver, who established Portugal's first parliament, the Cortes. He was all about building institutions and promoting trade.
So they weren't just conquering territory, they were actually building a functioning country.
Exactly. And then there's Dinis I, the farmer king, who was really into agricultural development. He also established the University of Coimbra.
Hold up, the same University of Coimbra that still exists today?
The very same. And speaking of lasting achievements, Afonso III, the border king, completed the conquest of the Algarve in 1249, establishing Portugal's southern border.
And that border hasn't changed since then?
Nope. Portugal's borders have remained essentially unchanged since the 13th century, making it one of the oldest nations in Europe with stable boundaries.
You know what's really striking about this dynasty? How they balanced military conquest with actual development.
That's such a crucial point. They weren't just warriors, they were nation builders in the truest sense.
And speaking of building things, didn't they also establish the Portuguese language?
Yes. Under King Dinis I, Portuguese became the official language of the royal court. Before that, Latin was the administrative language.
So they basically created Portuguese national identity as we know it today?
In many ways, yes. But here's something interesting. Afonso I actually had some pretty ancient royal connections through his mother's side.
Oh, really?
Yeah, through his mother's lineage, he was connected to the Visigothic kings who ruled the Iberian Peninsula in the 6th century. He was actually a descendant of King Leovigild.
So he had both ancient Visigothic and French royal blood? Talk about a power combo.
Exactly. And the dynasty spread its influence across Europe through strategic marriages. Their princes and princesses became rulers and consorts in places like Denmark, Aragon, and Flanders.
It's like medieval networking.
That's actually a pretty good way to put it. These marriages created diplomatic ties that helped establish Portugal as a legitimate European power.
But the dynasty didn't last forever, right?
No, it ended in 1383 with a succession crisis when Ferdinand I died. His daughter, Beatrice, was proclaimed queen, but that led to a civil war.
What happened then?
The House of Aviz took over in 1385, but by then, the Burgundian dynasty had already done something remarkable. They'd created a nation that would endure for centuries.
And they did it in just a few generations, starting from basically nothing.
Well, not quite nothing. They had that initial French connection, which gave them legitimacy in medieval Europe's royal circles.
True, but still, creating a whole new kingdom that's still around today? That's pretty impressive.
And what's really fascinating is how each king seemed to understand exactly what the country needed at their particular moment in history.
Right, whether it was population growth, legal reforms, agriculture, or border security.
Exactly. They weren't just maintaining power, they were actively building a nation's foundations.
You know, it's kind of amazing how much of their work we can still see today.
Oh, absolutely. From Portugal's borders to its language, from its oldest university to its basic governmental structures.
It's like they created a medieval startup that turned into a Fortune 500 company.
Ha! That's an interesting way to look at it. Though I doubt Afonso Henriques would have understood the concept of an IPO.
But he certainly understood the importance of building strong foundations.
And that's really the key to understanding the Portuguese House of Burgundy. They weren't just conquerors, they were builders.
They built something that lasted far beyond their own dynasty.
And set the stage for Portugal's golden age under the House of Aviz, when Portuguese explorers would literally change the map of the world.
So in a way, we have a French noble house to thank for both Portugal and its age of exploration?
Well, they certainly got the ball rolling, though I'm sure they never imagined their little county would eventually build a global empire.
From French counts to Portuguese kings to laying the groundwork for a world-spanning empire, not bad for a few generations' work.
And they did it all while creating lasting institutions that would serve Portugal well for centuries to come.
It really shows how the right leadership at the right time can change history.
And how building strong foundations is just as important as military victories.
Thank you for listening to the History of Portugal podcast, a Eat to My Own Beat podcast. New episodes every Friday. Get more information on the History of Portugal podcast on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out www.eattomyownbeat.com for more information on our travels.